I don't know who, but someone might be interested to know that how many hours? 52, 53 hours since receiving a generic layoff email from Amazon. I still have zero additional information. Nothing about how my leave of absence interacts with the 90-day period, nothing about the start or end date of the 90-day period, nothing about the pay during the 90-day period, nothing about severance, nothing about anything. Nothing. No, nothing except the generic layoff email. So thanks, Amazon. Glad I gave you 8.5 years of service.
Amazon is reportedly preparing to drop the axe on its corporate workforce this week. CNBC reports that more corporate workers will be laid off than ever before in Amazon's history. According to Reuters, which first reported the news, that number is as many as 30,000 workers across the globe. Many of those workers are here. In fact, nearly 1 in 5 Amazon corporate workers are based in the Puget Sound region. As of right now, Amazon has not returned our requests for comment.
If you work at Amazon or you think about getting a job at Amazon, don't even do it. Amazon is about to lay off over 30,000 people that's working in corporate, not regular workers, corporate Amazon. And they starting today. They ended up announcing this yesterday, and yeah, today is the day. And I know a lot of y'all like, why are they laying people off? Yeah, all those people that they about to lay off, they about to replace y'all with AI. But nah, y'all like AI so much. Everybody keep rooting for AI. Like I said in my last video, I don't know if it was my exact last video, but it was a video about AI I made. Everybody was all for the AI when it came down to ChatGPT, when it came down to writing your resumes, helping you out on your speeches, helping you surf the web. When it came to being lazy, it was cool. Now that it was cool and they see that you like it, these companies just found a way to monetize AI, save money, and get rid of y'all lazy people. Yeah, it's sad because a lot of families is about to feel this. Like, this is serious. A lot of people's about to lose their job. Over 30,000. They said that they starting that today. Corporate jobs at that. So what y'all finna do with the people that don't work in corporate? I'm talking specifically Amazon. What y'all gonna do with the drivers? Like, y'all gonna replace the drivers with AIs? Like, what's up? Y'all let me know what y'all think, but this is just the start. Like for more.
All right, the tech layoffs continue. I got an email this morning from Amazon that 14,000 people were laid off, and I got an email from my VP that our design org was impacted. So just wanted to say, if you have been impacted by these layoffs, or you've received a return to hub mandate, and now you're looking for a job, if you want to DM me and want help on your resume or your portfolio, I would be happy to help however I can. I am a UX and conversation designer. So I'm sorry this happened and it sucks, but something better is definitely going to come of it. And it's going to be a good change in the long run. I know it.
Well, this is hilarious, but have you ever sat down and thought about it? Why Amazon is laying off workers? Many reasons circle around this issue, and some say that automation is the reason why Amazon is laying off workers. But what if you give it a deeper thought, and maybe Amazon is laying off workers because it became too large, simply because it became too large and layered, because it hired more people than it needed during the pandemic and is now streamlining the operation.
So Amazon is scheduled today to start laying off 30,000 people, I think, and they're going to do it by email, which is a good thing, because I don't think I want to come way to work and get sitting at my desk and then somebody come and say I'm fired. Just let me be at home. You know what I'm saying? But I think they're doing all of this because they are anticipating sales are going to drop tremendously this year, because anybody with sense is not spending unnecessary money. So all these people, they're going to break a record this year. They will break a record this year of the less sales over the holidays, whether it be grocery time, Thanksgiving, Christmas presents, and all that stuff. That stuff finna come to a halt this year. People are robbing Peter to pay Paul, middle class, people that's can't hardly make it and stuff like that. So people are very reluctant, to buy things that they really don't need. So Amazon is doing this so them shareholders still can see a profit by firing, I think, 30,000 people in the corporate world, in the big time office, you know, them people make the money anyway. So that way they will still be able to see a profit, because they can't count on the American citizens spending all their money, wasting money this year, because guess what? They can't afford to. You're going to either buy Christmas gifts or groceries. And most people going to buy groceries before they buy Christmas gifts. You're going to either pay for the light, water, and gas. Most people going to pay for the light, water, and gas before they buy gifts. You either going to pay that car note and that mortgage, or sacrifice possibly getting your car taken, or your mortgage getting behind for Christmas gifts. I don't think so. Most people this year, this is going to be a rough year, and I bet you they're going to break record sales of how many people don't spend this holiday season. So Merry Christmas and Happy Thanksgiving. But 30,000 people are scheduled to be laid off today at Amazon.
So like many, yesterday I was laid off from Amazon, a role I've been in for 6 years, as I'm sure many people have seen. This is now the third time I've been laid off in my career. And as companies increasingly spend more and more on AI to, either replace workers or displace workers or whatever, it's important to maintain a positive attitude, but also keep up on your personal finances. This means having an emergency account ready. This means having your investment accounts ready. This means having a backup for all your things that might go wrong. Because in truth, nobody knows when these things are going to happen. They always happen randomly. Having at least 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses saved up, in this case, is paramount. You need these sort of things. That's so you can stay afloat in times of uncertainty, because in truth, you don't know when your next job is going to happen. It could take 3 months. It could take 6 months. There have been people that have been out of work for a year. So having some type of cushion so you can maintain, or at least have some prolonged time to stay unemployed until eventually you find a new role, is what that is for. The other part of that is paying down any credit cards as soon as possible. If you are still working, make sure that you pay down your credit cards, because if this does happen to you, you don't need 22% credit card debt looming over you month over month. It will drown you. In the end, it's just being prepared for an emergency, right? You want to make sure that you have those things in place in case of an emergency. You never want to be caught in an emergency without being able to handle it. Having that emergency account makes it so much easier, or at least less of a problem than it would be without it. Because the last thing you need is to lose your job and then go, how am I going to find rent money? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay my credit cards? If you have all those things under control, it's not a big problem immediately. And of course, to everybody who's been laid off or been affected by layoffs, stay strong. We'll get through it. It'll all be okay.
Do you want to know why Amazon's laying off people? It's not AI. It's not automation. It's just pure capitalism. It's just pure balance sheet. As someone who studied industrial engineering, when I went to school, I realized the field that I got myself into, my job is essentially to eliminate jobs, to a point where I eliminate my own job. That's what automation does in many ways. But the problem or the opportunity is that automation like AI you see today, maybe in forms of ChatGPT or these large language models, it's like electricity. Electricity doesn't eliminate jobs. In fact, it creates more jobs than anything. But because the system we're living dictates us to develop electricity and AI tools to eliminate jobs, therefore we eliminate jobs. To put you in another perspective, you probably hear like, oh, lawyers they're just, greedy, lying people. It's not true. If you speak to lawyers or people who got into law, they mostly tell you that they're there to protect people. They're there to have this governance and this fairness to the people. But if you're in law, like I know I have been, and my close friend is a very, very good merger and acquisition business lawyer. She makes a lot of money. We started our career together when she was just making $80,000. And I was super jealous because I was making $40,000 a year. And now she makes 7 figures, Her business model works because corporations ask her to protect the business as much as possible. In fact, her compensation is 1%. 1% of the business acquisition that they're going to make and also acquire. So that's where she gets that 7 figure. But it goes back to my point, right? Automation's just like electricity. We direct it to do what it does. We make AI automations today because it is an essential tool we need to understand and how to master, but we're using it the wrong way. If you ask me, what is the easiest thing to automate? It's executive levels. It's the executive and CEO jobs that AI, large language model, does really well. But nobody talks about it because that means their own jobs getting eliminated per se. If you think about it, right? Executive managers, they don't get the time or even the ability to process that much information and data for them to make a very good decision. But you know what really is really good at doing that? AI. So anyways, if you want to learn more about AI and how you can change the path of it, because like I said, once I learned what I was doing, this passionate job that I discovered at a young age, I knew that my job was to eliminate people's job. But I knew that just because I have the ability to kill, it also means I have the ability to save. So that's how I'm going to use AI.
Today, Amazon decided to fuck over 30,000 people, and you could be next. In yet another example of corporations showing us they don't give a fuck about anything except for maximizing profits, Amazon announced its largest layoff that it's ever done, totaling 30,000 jobs, nearly 10% of all of the corporate jobs they have. And this is not just another headline. This is a wake-up call. And most of the comments and videos that you might see on this topic are just going to say something along the lines of, oh, well, there's just fewer tech jobs. And I'm here to tell you, this is the blueprint that every corporation is going to follow. And the scary part is, big tech isn't even trying to hide it. They are straight up telling you that they need less people because of AI. And if they're just telling you this, what do you think every other company is going to do? And honestly, the reason I'm making this video is because there are far too many people on social media trying to convince you that this AI thing is just fear-mongering and is years away. And those same people are going to set you back because you need to prepare right now. So you need to start thinking about how you could create your own safety net, something that you control the destiny of, whether that's content creation, whether that's making your own business, something that is in your control. And obviously, I know that that's not an easy thing to do, but neither is trying to find a job after all of these people have been laid off because of AI. And look, we're probably cooked either way, but I'm trying really hard not to be pessimistic. So anyway, if you made it to the end of this video, tell me one thing that you're going to try to do different now so that you can be prepared.
Recently, Amazon announced that they're laying off 30,000 employees. Why do you think that was the case? Was it because of AI or overhiring or any other reason?
What I would say is probably due to overhiring. You know, when you talk about layoffs, like those are actual people, 30,000 or 16,000 or whatever that number is. It's like, that's how many people are affected. That's how many families are affected. And so super terrible situation. But I think ultimately there were like 100,000 corporate employees at the company when I left. If you really like squinted at it, like were those 100,000 people like strictly necessary? You know, Amazon has a history of taking big bets, right? So the idea, at least in Jeff Bezos' time, was we would take a bunch of big bets. The ones that did really well, we would double down on. And then the ones that didn't do well, you know, we should have the courage to cut those and then to move those resources into the bets that are doing well. I think with the layoffs, it's basically they didn't want to redistribute those resources into the other bets. So I don't know. It doesn't seem very Amazonian to me. I think we should have a ton of ideas, especially in this AI age. We should, you know, Amazon should be starting a ton of different businesses. And so, you know, I think fine, if you want to give Cleaver a bunch of features or a bunch of products that weren't working well, I think that's totally an Amazonian thing to do. The real Amazonian thing to do, though, would be to take all of those folks and then redistribute them and then to just really double down on the stuff that is working. Because there's a ton of stuff that is working really well at the company.
I was laid off by Amazon. I was one of the 14,000 employees that were affected today. They sent out an email at 5 a.m. Seattle time, the thing so that people don't have to go to the office if they are laid off. I'm still processing what has just happened. I guess I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for what to think, what to feel, if that actually happens to me. I will have 90 days to find a job within Amazon. And then after that, if I don't find a job, I will have some severance package, which will last for a few more months. So that's not bad. Yeah, if you want to follow through to see what's happening with me, click the follow button. I think I will be also spending a lot of time here on TikTok. So would love your support to have more followers. I would love to check out the creator program, and I think I need to have 1,000 followers before that happens. So just click the button and help me out.
Amazon is breaking the law. Again, let's talk about it. Under California law, an employer is required to provide a third paid break for their workers that are working at least 10 hours. Many of Amazon's employees are not getting paid for their third break, even though they're working their 10 hours. And not receiving a break can cause burnout, even higher risk of injuries, especially for the people that are working with heavy machinery. Amazon is not above the law, and we are fighting tooth and nail to make sure we hold them accountable for breaking it. Now, me and my coworkers are going over our past schedules to see when we qualify, also submitting requests for Amazon to take a look at it. They're actually closely following the example that was set for us by our Amazonians at KSBD San Bernardino. They were the first ones to do it, and they actually got a payout. Being a part of a union gives you a voice, and also it builds a connection with your coworkers so you can all talk about what you think is wrong. Join the fight by clicking the link in the bio and make sure that you're following Amazon Teamsters on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Why now are we seeing all of these layoffs from some of the country's biggest employers? Amazon's cutting 14,000 jobs, UPS more than 30,000 jobs, Target just announced that it's axing 1,800 corporate positions. A survey by ADP showed that 32,000 jobs were lost in the private sector in September alone. Some companies are redirecting money towards investments in AI, so not just AI replacing jobs, but throwing money towards that. Some companies have pointed towards rising operating costs because of President Trump's new tariffs. And people aren't spending as much, so some companies are choosing to restructure. It didn't just start recently. The cuts from tech giants have already been underway. For example, Microsoft back in July announced it was going to cut 9,000 jobs. So what will all of this mean for the job market heading into 2026?
Have you guys seen the post of all of the Amazon workers posting about how they got laid off unexpectedly, and they're like posting so distraught, so sad, so disappointed, and rightfully so. Well, just to give some encouragement, I have been commenting on these posts pretty much like every time that I see one. And I'll say something like, hey, I was laid off too. And as cliche as it sounds, like it's truly the push that I needed to get out of the corporate rat race. And now I started my own company. I have a franchise consulting firm. If you want to learn more about becoming a franchisee, like reach out to me. And someone posted, this is a shameless plug. And while I see how it can look like, oh, I'm trying to be like an opportunist, I truly am coming from a place of wanting to be like a sincere resource, but also just offering a different perspective or pivoting option. Let me explain. So when I got laid off, I remembered, okay, my friend was just laid off earlier this year, and he used his severance package towards his franchise. And we talked with them throughout this whole transition for them, and I remember thinking how appealing it was. So when I got laid off, I was like, let me explore this option of becoming a franchisee. And I went through the whole franchise purchasing process. Funding got approved for my small business loan. I chose a franchise option. And then towards the end, I decided I want to be a franchise broker. Well, I feel like this is something that some people that get laid off don't consider. They think, okay, I just got laid off, time to apply for new jobs, apply for unemployment, etc., etc. And they don't consider like that they could use their severance package towards a franchise. Also, they could use 100% of their 401k towards their franchise without that early withdrawal fee. When you roll it over into a business, you don't get that early withdrawal fee taken out. And I'm just trying to share this information because I've been seeing posts where people are already like using their 401k and cashing it in and living off of it. And I'm like, no, invest it into a franchise. Because I do have a client, and like the worst case scenario possible. He was in IT, he got laid off, and when we were talking about him becoming a franchise owner and we're going through the financial aspect of it, he was like, no, I already ran through my separation package amount. I did cash in my 401k and got that big early withdrawal fee deducted from the whole amount, and I've ran through it. I've been applying for jobs for months and can't land anything. And, you know, honestly, we just had like a heart-to-heart moment. And he was in the worst case scenario. And he literally had his head down, hands on his face, and he was like, I wish I knew this sooner. I wish I would have called you like 6 months ago, because the funds are gone and there's no job offers that are on the table. And so I'm just making this, if this even intrigues you a little bit, or you know someone who got laid off, send this to them. And then we can do a 15-minute intro Zoom call where I just go over the basics of becoming a franchisee. My services to my clients are completely free. I get paid by the marketing budget of these brands that I work with. Some brokers will charge you up front to work with them. I don't do that. So let me know, send me a DM, and then we can talk about what this pivot might look like for you.
30,000 jobs to go at Amazon, about 10% of the corporate workforce. That's what's being reported right now by Reuters. But if it's true, it's exactly what Andy Jassy said would happen. He wrote a letter to investors about 4 months ago saying that generative AI is going to sweep through his company and is going to help him keep the company like a startup, lean, scrappy, innovative. But it will mean he'll have fewer corporate jobs in the next few years. And so the job cuts come already across all parts of the business. The report's saying it's going to be in logistics, it's going to be in the compute side, the growth story, the Amazon Web Services, data center growth of offering cloud computing, but also video games. All parts are going to be analyzed for efficiency as more and more companies do more with less. But let me know if you're affected, if you're worried about whether you're going to be augmented by AI or replaced, and whether other companies are going to be doing the same.
The layoff numbers continue to spiral. 30,000 employees at Amazon are going to be released over the course of Q4. As it turns out, 14,000 employees are going to receive notices starting today. Most of them are corporate jobs. Most of them are probably likely process-driven jobs, and automation can fill into those roles very easily. We're seeing that transformation happen across corporate America, in Canada, globally actually. You know, I mean, in Canada, we are seeing our own share of job loss within the banking and automotive industry, which I talk about quite a bit. I just hope you guys are ready, because it's looking very scary out there.
This is absolutely wild and should be the biggest story in the country right now. So Amazon may actually lay off 30,000 corporate employees this week, and that should scare everyone. So they indicated that this is a product of AI and it's limited to the corporate office, and apparently this is almost like 10% of their corporate personnel. They're just going to phase out 10% of their corporate personnel. So for those of you who are in W-2s, in corporations, imagine what would happen if 10% just didn't come to work tomorrow. What would happen? And it's so bizarre because you have this company that is so wildly successful. Like, so many people are in this Amazon ecosphere that, you know, they rely on everything when it comes to Amazon. Their medication now, their basic necessities, everything. And they also have this huge footprint with cloud and data centers. And they also have entertainment. They're everywhere. How can this wildly successful company be in a position where they're just going to fire 30,000 people without it being because the business is winding down? They're just doing it. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it. And it's scary because all those people are going to be looking for jobs, and it's already bad enough to find work out. What's worse is that for the longest time, it was taboo to do layoffs, like it was frowned upon. And slowly, all these companies started doing it, and it created this domino effect. But if a company like Amazon just goes out and lets go of 30,000 people, that gives the message to everyone else. Oh, you guys can do it too, and nobody's going to blink an eye. So pay attention.
Well. Another day, another Amazon pip. But this time it wasn't just a pip. Bezos decided to lay off 30,000 Zoners following the whole DynamoDB DNS fuck up that they did. Coincidence? I'm not sure. But on another note, Amazon just released their software engineering internships and 30,000 spots just opened, so RO looks likely.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.